Hello, everyone. Welcome to AplusMap Econ. Are you interested in studying economics? How deeply does economics apply to your daily life?
Ever wonder why, I don't know, the price of your favorite chips goes up and down, or
Yeah.
that cool new phone starts super expensive, then like 6 months later it's cheaper?
Yeah, it seems random sometimes, but it's not. It's actually the core of how markets function.
Exactly. And that's our mission today. We're going to really dig into these market forces, supply and demand, price setting. We want to break it down so you can really see how this economic engine works.
That's right. And the sources we're looking at, they lay out a really clear path for understanding this constant interaction between buyers and sellers. It's not just dry theory. It's happening all around us every day.
Yeah.
And honestly, getting this is so central for understanding economics in general.
Totally. So we'll walk through the key bits, try to make the tricky ideas, make sense. Focus on what you really need to grasp. Okay,
Yeah.
let's unpack this. Like demand, first up. Demand.
So
Yeah.
in economics, it's not just like wanting something. It's more precise.
Right. It's about being both willing and able to buy something at different prices over a certain time. Willing and able. That's crucial.
Mhm.
Like, I might want a spaceship, but I'm definitely not able to buy one. So no demand for me there.
Exactly. And we show this visually with the demand curve. And the big thing to remember, it's downward sloping. Always goes down from left to right.
Okay, downward sloping. Makes sense. Higher price, people buy less. But why exactly? What's behind that slope? This is where it gets interesting.
Well, first, there's the substitution effect. Simple idea, really. If something gets more expensive, you look for a cheaper alternative.
Right? Like if my usual coffee place jacks up prices, maybe I start making coffee at home or switch to tea.
Exactly, you substitute. Then there's the income effect. Now, this isn't about your actual paycheck changing. It's that when a price goes up, your money just doesn't go as far. Your real income, your purchasing power, feels smaller.
Ah, okay. So you feel kind of poor, even with the same salary.
Yeah.
So you buy less of that pricey thing, maybe less of other stuff too.
Precisely. And the third reason, and this is a classic concept, definitely something to know, is diminishing marginal utility.
Ooh, sounds fancy.
Huh, a little. But the idea is simple. Think about eating pizza slices. That first slice, amazing. The second, still pretty good.
But by the fifth slice, maybe not so much joy.
Exactly. The extra satisfaction, the utility you get from each additional slice goes down, so you're less willing to pay the same high price for that fifth slice as you were for the first. That contributes to the downward slope.
Okay, got it. Now, you mentioned something really important earlier, the difference between a change in quantity demanded and a change in demand. Sounds similar, but it's not.
Not at all. And this trips people up constantly. It's a super important distinction. A movement along the demand curve. That only happens because the goods' own price changed, nothing else.
So price goes up, you move up the curve, buy less quantity. That's a contraction.
Right. And if the price drops, you move down the curve by more quantity. That's an expansion. But critically, the curve itself hasn't budged.
Okay, but then a change in demand means the whole curve actually shifts.
Yes. The entire curve picks up and moves left or right. This happens because of factors other than the goods' own price. A shift right means more demand at every price. A shift left means less demand at every price. Pause the screen for a moment and try the practice problems. The answers are at the end of the video.
And there's a handy way to remember those non-price factors.
Yeah.
A mnemonic.
Yep, timer makes it easy to recall the shifters.
Let's break down timer T.
T is for tastes and preferences.
Ah.
If something becomes trendy, like everyone suddenly wants vintage jeans, the demand curve shifts right.
Okay.
I is income. And this one's got two sides. For normal goods, most things, when your income goes up, you buy more, so demand shifts right.
Makes sense. More money, buy more stuff.
But for inferior goods, it's the opposite. Income goes up, and you actually buy less of these. Think maybe cheap instant noodles. If you get a big raise, you might buy fewer instant noodles and more steak, right?
Yeah.
So demand for noodles shifts left.
Ah, interesting distinction. Okay, M.
M is market size. More
Yep.
buyers, more demand. Simple as that. If the population grows or a product starts selling internationally, the market demand curve shifts right.
Got it.
E stands for expectations. What you think will happen to prices in the future. If everyone expects the price of gas to jump tomorrow...
Everyone rushes to fill up their tanks today.
Yeah.
So current demand shifts right.
Exactly. And finally, R is for related goods prices. Two types here. First, substitutes. Goods you use instead of each other, like Coke and Pepsi. If the price of Coke goes up,
Demand for Pepsi probably goes up. Shifts right.
perfect. The other type is complements. Goods used together, like printers and ink cartridges. If the price of printers skyrockets...
People buy fewer printers, and so they'll also need less ink. Demand for ink shifts left.
You got it. That's Ty Eimer covering the demand shifters.
All right, that's the buyer side covered pretty well. Let's flip over to the sellers. Let's talk supply.
Okay, so supply is basically the amount of a good or service that producers are willing and able to sell at different prices, again, over a specific time period.
Willing and able, just like demand. And it has a curve too, right? But it looks different.
Yep, the supply curve is upward sloping from left to right, which
Right.
tells us...
Higher price, producers want to sell more.
Exactly. It reflects the law of supply. As the price goes up, the quantity supplied tends to go up. And the reverse is true, too.
Makes intuitive sense from a business perspective. More money to be made, you make more stuff. When the supply curve shifts upward, it indicates that as the price rises, the quantity supplied also increases. Conversely, when the supply curve shifts downward, it means that as the price falls, the quantity supplied also decreases.
Right, and there are solid reasons for that. First, the obvious one, the profit motive. Higher prices generally mean higher potential profits, which is a big incentive for businesses.
Sure. What else?
Second, increasing marginal cost. This is another one of those core concepts. Usually, as a business produces more and more, the cost of making each extra unit starts to creep up. Maybe they need to pay overtime or buy materials in smaller, more expensive batches.
So to cover those higher costs for the extra units, they need a higher price to make it worthwhile.
Precisely. And third, higher prices act as incentives across the market. They might encourage completely new companies to enter the market or existing ones to invest in producing more.
Okay. And just like demand, I bet there's a difference between moving along the supply curve and the whole curve shifting.
Absolutely. Same logic applies. A change in the goods' own price causes a movement along the existing supply curve, a change in quantities supplied. But if something else changes, one of the non-price factors, then the entire supply changes and the whole curve shifts.
Right. Shift for an increase in supply. Left shift for a decrease.
You got it. And we have another mnemonic for these supply shifters, rotten.
Rotten. Doesn't sound very positive.
Huh. Maybe not, but it works. Let's go through it.
R is for resource costs. Input costs, basically, like wages, materials, energy. If those go up,
It costs more to produce, so supply decreases. The curve shifts left.
makes sense.
O is for other goods prices. This is about opportunity costs for the producer. If a farmer could grow corn or soybeans, and the price of soybeans suddenly shoots up.
They might switch some land from corn to soybeans to chase those higher profits.
Yeah.
So the supply of corn would decrease, shift left.
Exactly. Producers shift resources to what's most profitable. Okay, the first T.
T is technology, like a new machine that makes production faster or cheaper.
Yep.
Better technology usually boosts efficiency, lowers costs, and increases supply. Shifts the curve right.
All right. Second T.
This was big, often on exams. Taxes and subsidies. A tax on production acts like an extra cost.
So it decreases supply, shifts left.
Right. And a subsidy. That's like help from the government, it lowers costs.
So it increases supply, shifts right. Definitely see how that's testable.
For sure. Next, E is expectations of future prices. Similar to demand, but from the seller's view. If producers think prices will soar next month,
They might hold back some supply now to sell it later at the higher price, so current supply shifts left.
could happen, yeah. Or if they expect prices to fall, they might dump inventory now, shifting current supply right. Depends on the situation.
Okay. And finally, N.
N is simply the number of sellers. More firms making the product means more total supply in the market. Shift right. Fewer firms, shift left. Pretty straightforward.
Okay, so we've got demand sloping down, supply sloping up. Buyers and sellers, where do they meet? That's market equilibrium. It's that specific point, that specific price, where the quantity consumers want to buy is exactly equal to the quantity producers want to sell.
Quantity demanded, equals quantity supplied, the sweet spot you
Oh,
called it earlier. No leftovers, no one going empty-handed.
exactly right. Graphically, it's simple. It's where the demand curve and the supply curve cross. That intersection gives you the equilibrium price, we often call it P, and the equilibrium quantity, Q.
The market clearing price and quantity.
But markets aren't always perfectly at equilibrium, are they?
Right. Sometimes things are out of whack. That's disequilibrium.
Yep. It's any situation where at the current market price, the quantity demanded doesn't match the quantity supplied. There's a mismatch.
What causes that?
Often it's things that stop the price from moving freely to that equilibrium level. Maybe a government sets a price ceiling or a price floor, or there are sticky prices for some reason.
And this mismatch leads to...
Two possibilities. If the price is stuck above equilibrium, producers want to sell a lot, QS, but buyers don't want that much at the high price, QD. So QS is greater than QD. You get a surplus. Too much stuff piling up.
Okay. And if the price is too low, below equilibrium.
Then buyers are eager, QD is high, but producers aren't thrilled about the low price, QS is low. QD is greater than QS. That's a shortage. Empty shelves, long lines. Market disequilibrium often occurs when governments intervene in a specific market through policies such as subsidies, regulations, or the imposition of tariffs. Pause the screen for a moment and try the practice problems. The answers are at the end of the video.
Got it. So markets naturally move towards equilibrium, but things can shift the curves, right? Which means the equilibrium itself moves.
Exactly. When either the demand curve or the supply curve shifts a single shift, the old equilibrium point is gone and the market moves to a new P and Q. Understanding these single shifts is like bread and butter, really fundamental.
Okay, let's walk through it, maybe visualize it, like you said.
Yeah.
What if demand decreases? The whole D curve shifts left.
Okay, picture that. Demand curve slides left. What happens where it now crosses the unchanged supply curve? Both the price and the quantity are lower, right? So P falls and Q falls.
Right. Less demand pulls down price and quantity. Okay, what about an increase in demand? D curve shifts right.
Now the D curve slides right. Where's the new intersection? Higher up and further to the right on the supply curve. So pay rises and Q rises. More demand pushes up price and quantity.
Okay, 2 down. Now let's shift supply. What if supply decreases? S curve shifts left.
Supply shifts left, Now compare the new intersection to the old one on the unchanged demand curve. It's higher up, but further left, meaning pay rises, but Q falls. Less supply makes things pricier, and less is sold overall.
Got it. Price up, quantity down. Last one, increase in supply. S curve shifts right.
Supply shifts right. New intersection is lower and further right along the demand curve, so pay falls and Q rises. More supply leads to lower prices and more stuff being exchanged.
Phew, okay. Those single shifts make sense if you visualize them. But now, the tricky part, what if both curves shift at the same time?
Yes, the double shifts. This is where things can get ambiguous or, as economists say, indeterminate. And yeah, this is a favorite for testing deeper understanding.
Indeterminate meaning. You can't be sure what happens to either the price or the quantity.
Exactly. You'll know for sure what happens to one of them, but the other one will depend on how much each curve shifts. Let's take the classic example. Demand increases, shifts right. And supply increases, shifts right at the same time.
Okay, both shifting right. Let's think about quantity first. Demand increase pushes quantity right. Supply increase also pushes quantity right.
So quantity definitely goes up, no question. Both forces are pushing quantity in the same direction. Q increases.
Right, but what about price? Increase in demand pulls price up, but the increase in supply pulls price down. They're working against each other.
Precisely. So the final effect on price is uncertain. It's indeterminate. If the demand shift is bigger than the supply shift, the price will end up higher. If the supply shift is bigger, the price will end up lower. If they shift by exactly the right relative amounts, price could even stay the same. Without knowing the magnitudes of the shifts, you just can't say for sure what happens to pay.
Wow, okay. That really shows why just memorizing rules doesn't work.
Yeah.
And the tip you mentioned from the sources sounds really useful here, actually using pens or your fingers to shift lines around on paper.
Absolutely. Don't try to cram tables of double shifts into your head. Physically move the lines. See what happens to the intersection point. It makes the indeterminacy click much faster. It's a great thing to actually try.
Man, that was a serious workout.
Yeah. Pause the screen for a moment and try the practice problems. The answers are at the end of the video.
We covered the basics of demand, the basics of supply, how they meet at equilibrium.
What happens when they don't meet disequilibrium with shortages and surpluses?
And then the really crucial part, how equilibrium changes when demand or supply shifts, both single shifts and those tricky double shifts. These really are the absolute foundations.
They truly are. And understanding them isn't just for, passing an exam. It helps you decode so much of what's happening in the news and the economy around you. Why are housing prices doing what they're doing? What happens when there's a bad harvest? It all comes back to supply and demand.
Yeah, it gives you a new lens to see things through.
Yeah.
So maybe a final thought for everyone listening.
Mm-hmm.
Next time you read an article about, say, gas prices going crazy, or maybe why tickets for that huge concert sold out instantly.
You're trying to think, okay, what shifted here? Was it a demand factor, a supply factor, maybe both?
You'll probably surprise yourself with how much sense you can make of it now. It's pretty empowering.
It really is. But like anything, practice helps lock it in. Draw the graphs, think through scenarios.
Definitely. Maybe even listen back to this chat if it helps cement those distinctions. The more you work with these ideas, the more second nature they become.
Got it, everyone. Hope you followed along with today's lecture. Now let's break down those quiz answers and make sure everything we covered really sticks. You can grab the complete mind map. It's a killer snapshot of today's lesson, plus a super detailed AP Economics textbook, all for free on www.aplusmap.ai. Ready? Let's get into those quiz answers. We're confident that AplusMap will help you secure a great score on the AP Economics exam. Looking forward to our next class.